what's going on, guys? Sean Don coming back with technical analysis. Here we have Nicholas Hudson, Division II thrower at good old Mankato. I used to go there for a couple track meets back in the day, back when I was coaching. Kind of miss that place. As for the Minnesota weather, not so much. So let's take a look. Nicholas is a 60-foot weight thrower, trying to break 19 meters. And from the looks of it, looks like there's definitely more in the tank. Pretty solid though. So let's break it down. Side view is a little bit different, so still though useful in its own right. I preferred this throw to the other throw that you sent me, Nicholas, because I think the wind looked a little more smooth and in control. Better tension. So make sure to make the winds nice and big. Reach out. As you can see, your hands go far out in front of you, and then you do a good job of reaching back with that right elbow. So, like I said, can't really see much of the left and right side balance in terms of like where your weight's at with the side view, but you can also see what I think is more important for your throw specifically. So, two-turn weight throw. As you can see, you're doing a good job sitting back here. Your entire torso is kind of leaning back as the ball goes through zero. You're setting up the pendulum well. That's really good. You can see your head peeking a little bit, and you can see your right foot behind a little bit. So ideally, you'd want your left foot and your right foot kind of turning in the same direction, parallel to each other, if you will. So you could try to get that right side a little bit more involved off this wind. I know it's really hard when you're throwing the weight because it is mostly left-sided for the most part. It's really hard to feel that right side getting into it off the wind. Like I said, now you can see the head peak a little bit more. And you see, so this left foot's kind of pointed almost towards 90, and this right foot's still pointed back towards zero. So like I said, getting that right foot a little bit more into it. But the major thing here is that you are leaning back. You can see your nice straight torso, pendulum motion backwards onto that heel. Okay, your right leg's a little bit behind here. Once again, that's a byproduct of not really getting that right side into it fast enough. And then you can see because it's behind, comes off a little bit late, comes a little wide around that left side instead of kind of up and over that calf, kind of straight. You kind of want to think about as the I'm going to say hammer, but as the weight gets to about 180, you want to think about kind of reaching this right leg up and over the calf, kind of like a very narrow A-skip. There have been times when I've brushed the inside of my calf. I've almost tripped myself by catching my toe on my calf, but you kind of, like I said, want to A-skip, knee drive a little bit more as opposed to, as you can see, you're kind of butt kicking a little bit. You want to get this knee up and over, and you want this right foot to kind of come over that left calf so you can step more forwards towards 180, and that'll help your direction a little bit, which I think is kind of what's lacking. We'll see. But yeah, so the left side's doing most of the work, right side's a little bit behind. Not a big deal though, like I said, because you set up the pendulum, which is all that matters. You're a big, strong dude, so cleaning up some of these things technically will go a long way. But you catch pretty early before 270, which is good. Hips level here, shoulders level there, that's good. But once again, can't see the pitch of your torso angle on this catch. But it looks like you're doing a pretty good job staying square. But then you can see the ball as it comes here kind of crashes on you a little bit. It's going to kind of pull you forwards just a bit. So that once very good, perfectly straight up and down torso is now slightly pitched forwards here. So we'll go back for reference. Torso, back perfectly straight, shoulders over hips. And then as you go and you catch on the second turn, or into the second turn, that ball's pulling forward on you a lot. And then what was that very nice straight back is now a little bit rounded forwards. That's a sign that you're not getting that same sort of pendulum backwards as you were off the first turn or off the entry. And that's kind of your big problem. You're losing a little bit of energy because the ball's pulling forward on you too much. Or I should say you're not leaning back enough to balance out the forces of the ball. And like I said, this is kind of key for the side view. You might not be able to see this as well in the front view. but because that weight's getting pulled forward, you're kind of collapsing that chest forward a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, interesting. But as you can see, there's not the same sort of movement across the circle. Horizontal translation, I think, is the biomechanical term. There's not as much horizontal translation in the second turn as you're finishing double support. Your hips kind of don't. Or like I said, it's mostly hips and torso, but you're not really, like I said, leaning back as much as you need to. That's basically what it comes down to. And then this left side kind of takes over a little bit more. Same thing. Feet are starting to turn a little bit better, but that right foot's still kind of back at 0 while the left foot's at 90. And you can see this left shoulder right here. This is an interesting freeze frame. The left shoulder is higher than the right. Once again, a sign that the left side's doing most of the work. And the same thing, that right leg's going to come off a little bit behind. Going to butt kick a little bit. It's going to go around wide. And then you can also see, so since the orbit does get pretty steep here, so I could say maybe try to keep your hands up on that first catch just a little bit, but when you're two-turning the weight, the orbit needs to be significantly steeper than if you were to do a 3 or 4 turn. So kind of split on that one, but I would say try to keep your hands up just a little bit, or just be a little bit more rigid in the torso. Like I said, get that straight back. But left side pulls up, and then your hips sink down, but it's not in conjunction with the hammer. So the hammer kind of, or the weight, sorry, pitches up too high. If you look at this angle, and this would be nice to have a coach's angle or coach's eye app. So let's consider this 0 degrees, your torso angle, and then your arms would be the, I guess, the other kind of side of this angle. You really don't want this angle to be greater than 90 degrees. As you can see here, this is probably like 110 or something like that. If you do kind of get above 90 degrees, that means you're kind of disconnecting from the hammer a little bit, which is, like I said, kind of happens with your hips drop and the ball rises significantly, and then it's going to kind of come crashing down on you again. But then you're a big, strong dude, and you can kind of pull out of it. So to fix that, I mean, obviously I don't want to tell you just to like clamp your lats down. That's not the right thing to do. I think what the right thing to do is, as you can see, your hips kind of rise here, and I want you to kind of drive your right hip up to the high point. Get a little bit more hips into the hammer. Or once again, could just have a flatter orbit, your call. But this right foot coming off a little bit late, and that left side doing a lot of work. Once again, you can see there's not much forward translation here until the ball already comes past 180. When you ideally you want everything, as the ball goes to 180, you kind of want everything to go forwards with it. So in double support, you're leaning back against the ball. In single support, you're going forwards with the ball. It's a delicate balance, among other things. Once again, I think fixing this right side, getting it more into the throw a little bit and trying to step a little bit more forwards. I mean, this throw you do it, but in a very rotational way. So as you can see, this right foot kind of comes forwards, but the hips are back away from the ball once again. Like I said, that disconnection earlier. And then so this right leg's coming super wide. And then you catch late. So that first catch was good, but the second catch needs to be just about as deep, if not a little bit deeper. And then same here. Posture's not as good as it was in the first catch. If I were to see this from from 0, you'd see that your hips are a little bit back away from the hammer once again. That's kind of the recurring theme since the end of this first turn. You can see a little tilt in the hips, a little tilt in the shoulders, but your hips are mostly back away from the hammer. That's kind of a big problem. But catch. And then same thing, big strong dude. Getting that leverage back into the ball once again, so you're starting to fight against it more, but still the ball's a little bit low. As you can see, the ball gets down to about your knees. If it was just maybe above your knees just a little bit, it would help that direction outwards, make you a little bit more efficient, because when a ball drops so low like this, you really got to fight the ball to get it up and out, which you do a good job of. Like I said, you're strong. So, and then you can see as you release, or after you release, let's go back. So you release, you start to go forwards, but then where's your weight going to go afterwards? You're going to kind of fall back into the circle, like I said, because you're kind of missing that direction in that after that first turn, after that first catch. So lots of little tweaks you can work on. Like I said, maybe make the orbit just a bit flatter off that wind, which is hard to do. Like I said, get that right side turning, feel that right leg working a little bit more with the ball, and then try to step a little bit more forwards. Get more direction here, so as the ball goes to, once again, 180, go forwards with it, which is what you're going to do. And that's why this catch is better. But then, like I said, the big thing is this catch. After this catch, can't let that ball pull you forward so much. Got to lean backwards a little bit more. Think about it kind of like a clean or a snatch, a triple extension. As the ball comes through zero, you want your hips to kind of come a little bit forwards. You want your shoulders to go a little bit back to get that extension through the legs, up through the shoulders, and transfer it into the ball. If there's no extension through the lower body or the hips here, mainly the hips, then yeah, you're going to get kind of pulled forwards, which is exactly what happens. And then the right leg gets a little bit wild because that left side has to take over even more. And then once again, you get that good pendulum back to 180 again. So let me know if you have any questions, man. Honestly, not too shabby. Pretty solid. You can definitely throw it on 2 meters in the tank, I'd say. So yeah, like I said, let me know if you have any questions. If anybody else out there would like technical analysis, hit me up on social media at SDThrows, or send me an email, sdonnelly757@gmail.com, or comment down below in the comment section. So thanks for watching. Sean Don, peace out. Until next time, good night.